are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Exciting news. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who have been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com, and then definitely follow them on Instagram for all the information that you need, because I'm sure that's where you follow us as well, at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode.
Down here with Jeremiah Lane, who is the Assistant Director of the Children's Hospital Foundation. Appreciate your time, mate. We've been trying to do this for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been trying to connect. Been busy schedules, but thankful to be on and be able to do the podcast with you today. Yeah,
after we played you invited me to play the golf tournament down at Belmar last year. We had a great day for that.
Oh, it was beautiful outside. It was great to put in 18 holes and get to play and raise some money. So
and that's kind of when I was first, I guess, made aware of of everything you do, and just being around the golf day and hearing you speak and the other people involved. Super interesting stuff. You guys, I didn't realize all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, we do a lot of different things. Obviously, nonprofits. It's kind of an octopus, and we're in different areas. But golf tournaments is one of our ways to raise money, and we have a lot of different organizations that put on golf tournaments and other events. So we appreciate you coming out and playing and learning a little bit about us.
It's it must be the best way to raise money, just having people out at a golf tournament, right? Because they're out there for 4 or 5 hours. They've taken the day off. They're out to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, most of our supporters that go out and play golf, that's one of their most favorite things, is just being able to take the day off of work and go and help out a charity. It's one of my favorite things because I'm normally in the office grinding, and it's a day that I can get out, get on the golf course, enjoy some time with our board members or our donors, and not have to worry about the emails and everything constantly flowing in.
So you've been you grew up in Oklahoma City.
Grew up right in Bethany, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Went to Putnam City West and Western Oaks Middle School, and went to college at Oklahoma State University, but never moved anywhere else.
Yeah.
I've been born and raised Oklahoma. Love the state.
So where you're on now, was this like job straight out of college, or is this kind of like this?
Yeah. So I came to the Children's Hospital Foundation right out of college. I was a communications assistant, and I worked here for about 1.5 years. And then I before my wife and I got married, I took 2 years and went and did sales, and I traveled 6 different states and did some HVAC sales and sold heating and air equipment and things like that.
Yeah.
And then when we found out we were expecting a little one, I said, "Man, it's time to get off the road. I need to stay home." And so I've really always loved nonprofit work, and I enjoyed the sales. Man, and that 2 years of experience taught me everything to really be able to excel whenever I came back.
Right.
And so I went from a communications role into more of the assistant director role, and kind of overarching, as far as donor stewardship and kind of how you work with major donors. And I took a lot of that sales experience and made it more donor centric.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I mean, we are salesmen. We got to sell our organization and sell what we're doing. And so, man, it's been awesome. But yeah, right out of college, came here for my first 1.5 years, and then spent 2 years away, but I've been back for 3 years. So
yeah. What was Oklahoma State like?
Man, it is fun. It's a different atmosphere. I've been to other colleges, and obviously we have this Bedlam rivalry, and everyone talks about how bad OU and OSU is against one another. OU has its perks, but man, being in Stillwater, it's just a whole different atmosphere. Game day, you have all these fans that they don't care if you're from Nebraska, South Dakota, Missouri. They embrace you, and they'll ask you, "Hey, you want to have a beer? You want to have some barbecue?" Win or lose, right? And so you'll see a lot of articles written about Stillwater after people come visit, and they're like, "Man, the fan experience is amazing."
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun up there. My brothers and my whole family went there. And so I've grown up ever since I was, little, going to games, and I got to see OSU basketball go to the Final Four and see Eddie Sutton coach, and, hang out with those Final Four guys. And so I had a lot of fun up in Stillwater, and it's just a totally different atmosphere.
Yeah. That's kind of something I was kind of thrown into, like, with friends and stuff, you know, like go to your first game and you're like, this is not real life, you know, and then you keep going back and like, this is, and then, you know, I got lucky to go to some basketball games as well. And I didn't get to see, you know, Coach Sutton do his thing, but been around some of the games. And it's just, what an atmosphere.
Man, and you know, I think a lot of it has to do with, there's a winning tradition at OSU. A lot of it's the wrestling and golf, obviously. But when you go and you look at basketball and football and you experience a game, there's a lot of highs and lows. And I think that's what we appreciate as fans is, you know, we come in and we're like, man, we're not always expecting to win. But when we do and we pull off those victories, it's like bittersweet.
Yeah.
And it makes you even be like, you know, more of a fan. And so, but yeah, it is something really, whenever we talk about the loyal and true, it really is, man. You talk to anybody, we have some seasons where we may suck at football or suck at basketball, but we're still there. The fan base is there. And if you ever get a chance to go to Bedlam Wrestling up in Stillwater, I was just there this past weekend. Yeah. And the atmosphere for wrestling, man, there's none like it.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't been to a wrestling match.
Was the third, so they had to open up the top section because that's how full it was.
Wow.
And it was loud. I think there was more people that attended that game than the basketball game.
Yeah.
That week. So, but man, wrestling at OSU, if you've never been to a match, you got to get up there just to experience the atmosphere.
Yeah. So obviously, great time. I mean, getting to see Coach Sutton do his thing and go to hang out with the Final Four team and stuff like that. That's a pretty cool experience and a great memory.
Dude, we've got to put him in.
Yeah.
There's no reason that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Everyone keeps. I mean, it's one of the biggest arguments. It's really interesting. I've been looking at Twitter and stuff lately, and there was just a girls' basketball game up there, and Baylor was there, and Kim Mulkey even said, she's up against him, and she said, you got to put him in. You have Fran Fraschilla who's out there, and he's saying, hey, put him in, and all these people are saying it's absurd. I mean, I get it. He had his mistakes. I don't think you can hold it against him. I mean, he's one of the most winning coaches in national basketball.
Yeah.
So in collegiate basketball. So, like I said, I think there's no reason that he shouldn't be in. We got to put him in.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, why come here straight out of college?
So my uncle was a Walmart employee for over 20 years, and so growing up, Walmart is one of our national sponsors through Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And so growing up, I always went to his events that he was helping raise funds for us. And so, man, if you look at it, I started that at a young age of maybe 11 or 12. So through that experience, I really learned that I wanted to be a part of this organization. It meant a lot to me. And so from that time, I interned right before I went to college. I was a communications intern here. I went to OSU and I started what's called Cowboython, which is a dance marathon up there. And so for 12 hours, it's straight dancing and stuff like that. And you fundraise throughout the year. And so I was approached, whenever I went up there, I was approached by the foundation to start the program. And OU has one, and right now they raise about $1 million a year for us.
Wow. That's great.
I mean, it's amazing. They are one of the top 10 dance marathons in the country. And so through that experience, I learned that I really want to be able to give back and do what I'm doing. So I started Cowboython up there, and literally right after college, I called and I said, hey, can I put in my application? I'd love to work at the foundation.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing to be here, and I love it. What we do really allows me to feel rewarded on a daily basis. And growing up, I've always wanted to give back to the community. We didn't have a lot whenever we grew up. We were a single family. Mom raised, 4 of us. And so, but she always gave us, what we needed and made sure that we had what we needed, or what I guess you could say what we wanted.
Right.
But, there's some kids that aren't even fortunate enough to be able to have health care. And so one thing that is important to me is being able to give back to my community and making sure that, I'm doing that on a daily basis. And thankfully I can do that with work.
Right. Because some of the stuff that, and we've spoken about this just kind of recently about, having, which is, how we met really is Taryn, my wife's brother, is one of your really good friends.
Yeah.
Robert, my brother-in-law, is one of your really good friends. Is how we met. And like the stuff, the impact that you guys have. And then, he was up recently this weekend. We were chatting about some stuff, and again, and I played in the golf tournament. I know kind of what you guys do, and then we sit down and we talk more detail, and like, whoa, you do that too, and this as well, and then you realize the impact, and you realize why people want to give you money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's not like just another, foundation. Oh, I'm just going to give money because it makes me feel good. No, like you see the impact that you're having with these kids and everything else. Yeah.
And so what's really special here is we have a program for our employees, and we have a program called the Miracle Children and Grateful Families program. And so every child treated at the Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City is able to join our program. It's free. We don't ask them for money. Other Grateful Family programs in different hospitals do ask, their patients for money and things like that. It's not something we're interested in. So what we allow them to do is about 4 times a year we host events, and we invite all these families out to be able to be a community. They're not fighting these battles to get alone. This is a sense of community. They can go. Last one we did was at the zoo, and we had everyone go to the zoo, and we've done things at the Science Museum, or we'll have them come and do Valentine's Day party here, and we do cupcakes, and they design cards and stuff like that. But it's a sense of community. But for us, that's the impact, because 2 or 3 months ago, their story came to us, and they were in a totally different position.
Right.
And for the donors that have given us money, we brought in specialists and physicians and research scientists to be able to come in and treat these kids. And so to be able to see them on the other side of the hospital bed, thriving, running, chasing other kids, that's the impact.
Yeah.
And, that's why we're thankful for our donors, because they truly are impacting the kids of Oklahoma and outlying states, because we care for kids outside the state as well.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we are the state's comprehensive hospital. So we have all the specialties that we need. And if we don't, we're recruiting the doctors to be here for those specialties. But like last year alone, we had over 268,000 patient encounters. That is just in our 77 counties alone.
Wow.
So we have kids that we have the only pediatric dialysis unit. So if a kid needs to be on dialysis, they're traveling here to receive treatment. And remember, we're talking about kids that may be 2.5, 3 hours away. They have to receive dialysis treatment 3 times a week. So you're looking at a 6-hour trip back and forth, 4 hours on dialysis.
Yeah.
That's 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we are the state's only one, but we serve kids in Arkansas, Kansas, and outlying states. We just recruited Dr. Burkhart. He's a pediatric cardiac thoracic surgeon. Brandon Whedon is helping raise funds for that, and his golf tournament's coming up in June. But Dr. Burkhart, we're getting kids from out of state so he can perform surgeries on them. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, to Brandon's credit and the Children's Hospital Foundation, we were able to help successfully recruit him to come here and care for our kids. So all these different specialties.
Right.
And with that being said, the state has something special here, and everyone needs to know about it, and we're raising the funds to be able to support the doctors and the research that they're doing here.
Yeah. So that's a lot of it too, is like raising the money to bring the doctors in so you can have this facility and have these people here.
And so when we talk about that, a lot of things that we're doing to raise funds is supporting the research. So say that, we're raising $1 million, $2 million endowment. The support that they're getting from us is the interest off of that endowment.
Got you.
But a lot of the, what's attracted to them is, man, I can get research funding from you, or a research startup, and help bring a team. And so we support other, all the different programs within the Department of Pediatrics here at OUHSC. And so, what we're trying to do is raise money for that. So our mission statement and prices, basically ties in 3 things, which is clinical care, education, and research. And there are things that, we support outside of those things if the hospital needs it, such as like a DNA sequencer. We've done, a P-pod to study the body fat or the body fat rate of a newborn or, infants or whatnot. So it's really interesting, what we do. And there's a lot of things that we do, and we're raising a lot of money, and the donors help us do that.
Yeah. I guess what's been, one of the things, because you've probably been here almost 10 years? 10 years now?
I'm about to hit 6.
Oh, okay. With the 2 years out. Okay.
I'm only 28 years old.
Ah, Okay.
Yeah,
of course you are. You're Robert's age. Yeah. My apologies.
Yep. So
With obviously, so with being here that long, you've seen everything grow. I mean, we just mentioned you just got done finishing the website. Looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And for everyone listening, you can go to chfkids.com and see that and find out all the information you need and donate and stuff like that. What for you is like, because I'm sure there's so many things that like make you want to come to work every day, right?
Yeah.
You don't just, I'm sure there's little things that you're like, oh, do I have to do that today? Admin work, paperwork, everyone has to do that. But is there one thing that stands out to you? And I know that's probably a really hard question.
You know, a lot of people ask me, one of the most impactful things that has happened on this job. And I can say, whenever I was up in Stillwater and I was doing Cowboython, I met a little boy named Jace. He's from Enid, and he has the diagnosis of what's called galactose, and he's not able to basically break down galactose. And his mom told a story, and basically whenever he was born, you know, new moms are said to breastfeed.
Okay.
You know, breastfeed your child. And Jace was getting really, really sick, and they didn't know what was going on. And we had just we had a doctor here that she was sent to, and basically what it came down to was he called her and said, "You've got to quit breastfeeding. You're killing your child."
Wow.
And what he wasn't able to produce the breast milk, or, you know, properly receive the breast milk that he was receiving from her. But just to hear the impact that she had, and I was able to interact with him while I was up at OSU, and we, you know, during our event, and whenever my wife and I were talking about kids' names, I said I want to name my kid Jace.
Yeah.
And so that's why our first son is named Jace.
Yeah.
It's spelled differently, but that is why we named him Jace, is just because of the lifelong impact that I've had. And that was really the first story that hit home. You know, when I was younger and I did the communications intern here, and I had been volunteering ever since I was younger, there wasn't really one thing that impacted me. But to hear, I guess it was that, you know, proximity of, I'm at OSU, they're from Enid, they're OSU fans, I'm doing this, and it was that first impactful story that I heard. And so that was my most impactful, obviously. But the amount of stories that you hear, man, I mean, it's just so much fun to hear the success stories. Obviously, there's sad stories where kids are, you know, we're not there yet with defeating childhood cancer. And that's one of our missions, and something that we'll be pushing here really, really soon is raising more money for our childhood cancer program. But to hear all the stories of these kids and then see them running around and being able to visit with them, that's the impact.
Yeah.
And my own son has been treated. And my niece and my nephew. And what's really interesting about it, you know, we're trying to do a better job, is a lot of people don't know about this hospital. That Children's Hospital is the state's hospital for comprehensive care and specialty. So whenever my nephew got hurt or my niece got hurt, my brother was like, "I'm taking her to Mercy." I was like, "Cool. You're in Edmond. Take her to Mercy."
Sure.
Well, my brother ended up calling me and was like, "Hey, it's taking a little while. We're just going to go to Children's." And they went to Children's. They had a great experience. Next thing you know, my nephew needs help, and they're going, "Okay, we're taking them to Children's."
Yeah.
And so what I think you do is you realize that not a lot of people know about Children's Hospital and what the specialties it has and how good it really is. I mean, this is a gem of the state. And so what we're trying to do is kind of, you know, help generate that atmosphere of people knowing that this is a great place. This is where people can be cared for, and especially our kids. So yeah, it's just interesting because, you know, I myself wouldn't have known this is, you know, the best place for kids to receive care.
Same. Like you know, you don't drive by it every day. It's not on the highway like, you know, Baptist is or Mercy is off. You know, you just see those two and you think, oh, that's the only two that I can go to, right?
Right.
You never think that, you know, that this is where it is.
Well, and a lot of those hospitals are going to defer kids here. If they can't care for them, they're coming here.
Yeah.
So, you know, for instance, this is the highest level NICU in the state of Oklahoma. So if a newborn cannot be cared for at one of those hospitals, they're going to transfer them here or they're going to go to out of state.
Right.
But, you know, for instance, my brother just had my niece just had RSV, and he went to a community hospital, and they said, she's got to be rushed to Children's.
Yeah.
And so my brother called me, and it was about 11 o'clock, and I said, okay, I'll call the ER. I'll let them know that you're on your way.
Yeah.
And they got him in, and they spent 4 days here, you know, but they cannot say enough about the great quality of care that she received while she was here.
Yeah. And that must, you know, make you just love what you do, right? Because initially, you know, before you had Jace and before family had kids and they'd come here, you know, you still love what you did, but now you have such a personal connection to it that it makes it, you know, it's not work really, is it? It's like coming in and making a real impact. It's not like, you know, cashing in a check. You coming in, you work 9 to 5, you get your 40 hours in, and then you go on home.
Oh man, if you think I'm just cashing in,
you know, right? And I can see that in the way that you speak about it, and I also see that in the way that you've spoken about it when we've been interacting with friends and family, and it's not like at a work setting like where we are today in the office talking about it. Like, this is not just you speak this all the time.
Yeah, I do. This is fun for me. You know, going out and being able to tell people what we have and the impact is what makes it fun. But yeah, man, if I was working 40 hours a week, we'd be great. I wake up about 5:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I take Jace to work, and or to school, and I'm here by at least 7. And then, you know, I leave at 3 to go pick him up or whatnot. But I normally right after dinner, I'm back to the grind, checking emails, looking at everything. I go to bed around 11, midnight. But man, it's truly something that if you look at our staff, they are putting in more than 40 hours a week. We have over, I would say, more than 350 events a year. All of our national partners do small events, and our employees have to be at those events, and we help coordinate those events. But we're always trying to grow. So we, a couple of years ago, we went into a strategic planning vision, and we wanted to grow from a $5 million organization to a $10 million organization over 5 years. I could say that we're on track to do that. But that means that we, as a staff, have to grind, and we've got to get there, and we've got to grow. So if you would have looked at this place 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, there would have been 12 employees, and we were raising maybe $3 million to $4 million. Now there's 25 employees, and we're raising 7.5 to 8, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, we're having a better impact on the state. We're raising more money. We're supporting the hospital and the physicians over there. We're recruiting more doctors. Right now we have 36 established endowed chairs. Those average of $2 to $3 million per endowed chair. So right there, you're looking at $72 million that we have there. And so, like I said, our mission is to raise money, and we're doing that. We're out in the community. We're beating the streets, and we are finding donors. But, you know, it's really interesting because you don't know the impact that you have until you see it. Right. And so, you know, we do donor tours all the time of the hospital, and we try to bring, you know, different donors or individuals that have interest to all of our events. And we do some pretty big events. Two of them are Dancing for a Miracle.
Okay.
Man, that one's fun. It's kind of a spin-off of Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. So we take 10 local celebrities and pair them with professional dancers. Sure. And they compete against one another, but it's a fundraising competition. So whoever raises the most money ends up being the Dancing for a Miracle stars. Last year we had an individual named Lisa Talley from Norman who raised more than $220,000 by herself.
Wow, that's impressive stuff.
Unreal. But that's a really cool event. It happens in August down at the Embassy Suites in Norman. You can go to our website, look for it. It's one of our. I mean, it is one of the funnest events.
I'm looking at the pictures now on the website. It looks like you have an absolute blast.
We do. It's fun. There's about 1,000 people there. And there's a live auction, silent auction, people's choice voting, and it's a blast. It's yeah, I mean, if you ever want to come, just let me know. Mike.
And that would be awesome. And it's for, just looking at the event, it's for all ages too.
It is. So
Why say that? There's no kids here, right? But it's more like all ages of adults.
So anyone, there's alcohol there, but anyone over the age of 16 and up would enjoy the event.
Yeah.
One year we did do Disney themed, so all the dances were Disney themed, and so some of the the dancers brought their family and the younger kids to do that. This year's Broadway-ish.
Okay.
So it's going to have a Broadway spin to it. It'll be really cool. Working on all the save the dates and all the sponsorship packets and all that right now. So
what are some? You mentioned 350 events. That's a lot of events.
Yeah.
What are some of that was quite one of the big ones. What are some of the like your every week like?
Yeah.
What's some of the small ones that people can really get into?
Our Tinker Federal Credit Unions do car shows.
Okay.
They do some of our partners do golf tournaments, like I mentioned. So we have like Enterprise, who you went and played in that golf tournament down in Belmar. We have the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association does what's called the Ranch Rodeo.
Okay.
And it's at the Lazy E, and it's just a rodeo that helps raise money. There's Sugars and Spurs, which is another one where people will go and buy some treats and stuff like that at one of our local credit unions. But all these events, one of my favorites is the clay shoot. So the Edmond Kiwanis Club sponsors a clay shoot. It's up at Silverleaf Shotgun Sports, and it's just a day where we go out and we shoot clays with shotguns and eat some really good food and hang out. And that's a really fun event too. So, when I say that we were doing 350 events, it's a lot of our partners that are doing it, but we support it. We go out there, we find individuals that want to support those different areas. And what we're really trying to do is reach different people with different things.
Yeah.
So you have shotgun sports. We do quail hunts. We do golf tournaments and then car shows and you name it.
And the money's raised from the entry fees to that and like a raffle at the same time. Like that's kind of where you raise the money from.
Yeah. So it's entry fees, it's sponsorships, raffles, all that kind of stuff.
And that's the one thing that's great about fundraising is because you can have an event, you can all like go out, you can do something that you love to do, right? Like I would love to go clay shooting. I'm terrible at it, but I would love to go. And you can enjoy, you can go and have something, you can go to a car show, whatever it is. There's guaranteed there's an event around what you love doing that benefits this.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Not,
call us. We'll set one up.
So is that something that like people can like set up their own events and be how does that work?
We actually on our website we have how you can help or get involved, and there's a third party events section there. You can download the form. And we had a group of individuals that wanted to do a runway fashion show, and they just ended up making their own committee, and they did it and found sponsors. And so there's a way that people can do their own third-party event.
Yeah.
It has to be approved by us to be able to use our logo and our marketing and stuff like that. But yeah, man, we have a family whose daughter was treated maybe 10 years ago, and they called us a couple weeks ago and said, hey, we want to do a Jeep run up at Lake Carl Blackwell. And we're going to charge everyone to do an entry, but we want you guys to be the beneficiary. Like, what do I need to do?
Like Jeep Wrangler, Jeep runs. Like they're just driving through the woods.
Driving Jeeps.
Great.
And people, I guess, pay $150 to be a part of this Jeep run.
Yeah.
And they raise money, and so they decided that they wanted us to be the beneficiary. And so we had a kid that's designing their shirt and kind of stuff like that to make it more impactful. But anybody can do something for us. Heck, we've had people call and say, in lieu of birthday gifts, our kid wants to raise money for you guys. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Said, okay, tell them they're raising money for us. We'll do a check presentation at the hospital. The kid can come down.
Yeah.
We'll get them a big printed check, make them feel good, and thank them for their time and what they do. And so, there's so many different ways to give back nowadays. And that's what's really cool about philanthropy. And so, one thing that we started and what we how we look for our donors is we started breaking it down to where how can we get lifelong donors?
Sure.
And so I mentioned the kids, and we started a program in elementary schools called Kids Care. And it's a week-long program that we do in elementary schools, and it's just basically kids bringing in money. So there's things like pennies for PQ. Tuesday maybe dime for diabetes, things like that. And so they raise money. And that goes in elementary and middle school. And then in high school, we try to get them to do mini marathons, kind of like the dance marathons in colleges. And we get them hooked in there. And then in college, they do dance marathons. And then they go and they're, successful, and they go into a job. We have them join what's called our I board. It's an innovative board. It's for younger professionals. And then from there, they go on to our board of directors or board of advocates. That way, what we've done is we've created lifelong donors who care about our mission. They understand it. They've been involved throughout their life.
Right.
So that's something that we've been trying to do lately, and it's been really successful.
And that, like I said, doing something like that, it's something that even if when they're a kid and they're in school, right, and they donate $1 a week, right, but it's just that mental thing. And if you can get them on that train,
Yep.
and notice, they can see the impact and they can become part of this huge thing, even if it's just $1, right? And then it builds up, and then when it's 10 a week, and then it's, whatever it is, it's all this stuff. And like I said, they go into a job, and you have 25 years of them, or whatever it is, donating to you, and you have a relationship for that time. It makes so much sense to build it like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and what really, if we get them on the hook, great. If not, what we've done is we've instilled a thought process or a mental process of philanthropy and giving and service learning. And that's really what we're trying to do is just have an impact in the community and teach young kids that, this is a good thing to do. Giving to your local charities is a good thing to do because people need help.
Yeah.
And this is the way to be able to impact your community and give back.
So for, I guess, the rest of the year, what are you focusing on for the rest of the year? What's kind of like, I guess, specifically to your role?
Yeah. So right now we're looking at some major. We have a bunch of our major events coming up. So Dancing for a Miracle, I'm gearing up for that. That'll be in August. Our fiscal year ends in March, so I'm trying to do our last appeals, things like that for the fiscal year, but. Truly, for me, what I'm focusing on is ramping up a large campaign in cancer. Our organization will be trying to raise money to essentially replace our section chief for cancer, who was recruited from St. Jude. And so we're going to be doing a new recruiting phase for a new section chief for that. But, we're looking to raise money in all different areas. And so it's basically getting our name out there more. We have a couple programs that are on News Channel 4 right now. They're doing some series for us. One is called Kids with Courage, and they are basically showcasing the kids with cancer up on the Jimmy Everest Cancer Center. And then we also have A Heart for Kids, which is being aired on News Channel 4, and that's with Dr. Burkhart and the kids that are receiving care from him. And so those alternate every Tuesday night. So if you ever watch News Channel 4, look for those great stories. And we're really thankful for their partnership to be able to share these stories, because I really think it's getting our name out to the community, what our doctors are doing and how they can support it. But and then obviously I'm focusing on the Brandon Whedon Golf Tournament.
Of course.
I'm kind of in charge of that. And that's June 4th, and that's at Oak Tree National. It's going to be the 7th or 8th year that Brandon's done it. It's a great event. So much fun. And so I'm gearing up, looking for teams, sponsorships, and ways that people can support that event.
And typical kind of golf tournament, people hold sponsors and food sponsors and beverage sponsors and all that stuff.
We're looking for beverage cart sponsors, driving range sponsor. The teams, sponsorships go all the way from $3,600 up to $10,000 for sponsorship as far as teams. That enters a 4-man scramble. They get to go to the VIP reception and live auction. But it's cool. Brandon will be out there. It's not just for his name. Brandon's out there. He's interacting with the donors and the people that are there to play. And Dr. Burkhart will be out there. But the biggest thing about Brandon, he's been such a good advocate for us. He's been doing PSAs and really telling the story of why he got involved. And that video is on our website as well. It's the Brandon and Gavin video. And, man, if you get a chance to watch that, that's impactful. It's powerful. And Brandon, decided he wanted to raise $1 million to bring someone here. And he's done it. We have Dr. Burkhart here, and now we have to continue to support Dr. Burkhart and what he's doing. And so this is Brandon's way of saying, I'm going to raise another $1 million to
research and all the rest of it.
Research. Dr. Burkhart's doing some really cool research right now, as far as here on campus, and he's doing some things with the pediatric cardiothoracic surgery, and so we will continue to support those efforts. I think maybe a couple years ago we were turning kids away. We wouldn't perform the heart surgeries, and so Dr. Burkhart last year alone performed over 410 heart surgeries.
Wow.
And man, he's busy.
Yeah.
He needs more people. He needs a bigger place to be able to do what he's doing, and we've got to be able to help provide those resources. And so Brandon's made a commitment to continue raising money, and CHF is doing that alongside with him. And so the golf tournament's a really cool way to support, and I'm excited for it. And hopefully we can get you out there on Oak Tree National.
Yeah, that would be fun. We said it's in June?
Yeah, June 4th.
Okay.
It's on a Thursday.
Okay.
And it's a fun event.
It should be a nice day, hopefully.
Man, normally
June.
it depends. It can be nice, but normally, we're out sweating like no other, and a lot of sunscreen too. Man, we've been out there where it's been a little toasty, but we're hoping it's going to be early enough in June to where it's not 115 degrees
blazing,
but you know how Oklahoma is. We really don't know what the weather's going to look like.
Sure. I mean, today it's snowing. Yeah. Which is trying to snow.
Exactly.
This has been really cool. Like, I love diving into these stories, and I love that, you came here out of college, you've had this connection through, family working at Walmart and just being involved there, and then also, like, having that interaction with Jace, and now you have a Jace of your own, right? And then having family that has to go through the stuff that you do every day, the work that you do, and you can see that impact personally from a family level, as well as being around all these kids. So I love the story. I love what you're doing. I love your heart for it. You've got, I can see just the passion that you have for this. This is, like I said, this is not just cashing a check. And I don't think anyone here is doing that, right? If you work for a Children's Hospital Foundation, you clearly love what you do. Yeah. And I have family back home. My aunt, who's coming out soon, she had 2 kidney transplants when she was first one when she was 18. So I kind of have a little bit of experience around knowing what people have to go through with dialysis and all. It is not easy, and then having the donor and thankfully having a donor and does that kidney take, or does it reject the body, and all the complications that go around that. But I mean, she was 18 to 30 having those. I can't imagine what it's like for a kid. And
you hit on it, Mike. The one thing that's so interesting about this is these kids don't get to choose this life,
right?
And one of the most impactful things that I heard from one of our board members whose daughter had cancer is he said, childhood cancer, these kids don't get to choose this. It's not something that they done and it's a consequence of. Where adult cancer, it could have been smoking or whatnot, but this is something they can't choose, and so it's like, why not help, right? And so you hit on it, but I do want to say sometimes I think we take for granted our healthy children, and so this is one way where you can take the good that you have in your life and really give back to somebody and these kids. And I always say, and give them a gift of growing up. Yeah. It's that easy. And any dollar, every dollar counts. Every dollar raised by our foundation stays in the state of Oklahoma. It doesn't go to a national organization. And one thing I would like to mention is we don't turn a kid away from our program that we support. So no child is ever turned away, regardless of their ability to pay. And so we're sticking true to that, and we love everyone's support. And if you have any questions, please visit our website. The
website's chfkids.com. Social media, Instagram's OKCHF. Definitely go follow that. And I'll post all these links below in the description as well. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or you're just listening, driving in the car, when you pull over, you can see the links below. And I'll also link the video for Brandon and Gavin as well that you mentioned. And if you want to reach out, come take a tour, come see what, everything that they do, and you can see where the money that you are donating is going. You won't be disappointed. It's definitely going to a good cause. So Jeremiah, mate, I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you having me on.
Glad to share the story, and we'll definitely check back in, after the golf tournament. We'll see if we can get some prizes for that. We'll see. If not, we'll definitely check in just to kind of keep up and see how things are going, and just keep this a running commentary, because I think more voices and more exposure for this is needed, and anything I can do to help you guys, I'd love to help. So
maybe we can get Brandon on.
That would be awesome. Let's definitely get him on to talk about that. I know he loves his golf.
Yeah, he does.
So awesome, mate. Really appreciate your time. And guys listening, check all the links down below, and we will catch you next episode. Thanks very much.
This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.